Look, I just need money. You know that power, that power that makes you literally untouchable. That shit that Noma has.
Your dad tried that. And it took him down.
Yeah, but you know he didn't do that, right, Mom?
No. Ghost was a lot of things. But he wasn't stupid.
Ghost warned Tariq, if you do this shit, you can never go back, and he was right. Tommy told him to make a choice. He was either a civilian or a gangster. There ain't no in between. And I finally think he's made his decision. He wants money, power, the power that makes you literally untouchable, the shit that Noma has. And now that he's lost his trust fund through Western Holdings, he can only find that in the street game. Or does Ghost have another move up his sleeve? I can't imagine Ghost to be a man who would trust Tariq, which is why he had Daniel in charge of his trust. But that's one of the points I'm going to be diving deep into later on in this video. Did Ghost have another move just in case Tariq fucked up the trust fund? But first we're going to have a look at Tasha's next move, and how she could play an integral role in Power Book 2 Ghost Season 4. Now, throughout Power and Ghost, Tariq has been a character who's been somewhat conflicted about what he wants. He once wanted Ghost to teach him the game, and when he didn't get his wish, he took matters into his own hands and learned the game from Kanan Stark, and also his mother Tasha St. Patrick, who once said he could be better than Ghost ever was.
You can be better than Ghost ever was. If you commit to both the legit life and the streets. You graduate from high school, you go to college, but you ain't never gonna stop pushing weight because that's who you are.
So I do think it's worth rewinding it back to this moment in Power, where Tasha taught Tariq the game and said if he does it right, he can be better than Ghost. I guess this is one of the reasons why Tariq thought Tasha was the mastermind and the brains behind Ghost's operation, because he was just seeing it from one perspective. Ghost never taught him the game, Tasha did. But I am glad that Tasha did set the record straight, although I have said it before and I'll say it again. Even though Ghost was definitely the mastermind, Tasha's influence can't go unrecognized because she did help Ghost through quite a few difficult and challenging moments. And so for Tariq, especially at this moment in time, having Tasha by his side will definitely be a game changer. Tariq will always need the help of Tasha and Uncle Tommy, and he even recognized he can't win this war on his own. In episode 10, Tasha stepped in to try and kill Monet, and Tariq even asked for Uncle Tommy's help, which is why I do think it's nicely poised and set up for Tasha to help rebuild Tariq's organization and mentoring him through the game. Although a point I've raised in the past is, for Tariq to truly turn into a demon and lose all touch with humanity and turn into that monster, he needs to lose Tasha. He needs to lose the one person that means the world to him for him to really tap into this dark side. But we're going to come back around to that, so just hold on to that thought. First we're going to take it back to season 1 where Tasha name dropped Tommy in court as the kingpin to the drug organization. From then on, it was just a waiting game for Tommy's return. But Tariq was definitely ahead of the curve. He knew that Tommy would never stop coming for Tasha. And even though he devised a clever plan to help them all, he had to protect his mother Tasha by sending her to WITSEC. Now, some of you may be wondering why did Tasha remain in WITSEC if Tommy was supposedly dead in New York? And the short answer is, law enforcement believed that Tommy still had people who had the hit out on Tasha, and her life remained in danger. Tasha also knew herself Tommy was alive, therefore to protect herself, Yasmin, and later Grandma Estelle who joined her in season 3. The best thing was to stay in witness protection, otherwise she did risk Tommy coming to cancel Christmas, which of course, he did in season 3. Tasha and Tommy are day ones, and she certainly let him know that she's helped save his life more than once. But if they continue this feud, then they were going to end up 6 feet deep, right next to Lakeisha, Raina, and Ghost. And one thing we can associate Thomas Patrick Egan with is family. As ruthless and unforgiving he is in the street game, he also has another side to him, which is his caring side, which we've seen with the St. Patricks, Lakeisha and Cash, and now enforced with D-Mac and JP. Tommy is definitely big on family and loyalty. Now, why this conversation was important was because of 2 elements. The first being Tommy and Tasha squashed this beef because Tommy was done losing his people, and the second is Tasha no longer has to fear Tommy coming for her, and that's the key. Tasha no longer has to hide, although law enforcement don't know that and they'll probably want to keep her in WITSEC. But what this does is allow her to be free to some sort of extent and roam the streets of New York and help Tariq without worrying that Tommy's out to get her. That's been one of Tasha's biggest fears in Power Book 2 Ghost, Tommy coming to cancel Christmas. But already we've seen a glimpse of what she's about and what lengths she's willing to go to in protecting herself and Tariq now that the beef with Tommy is squashed. She came by lighting up Monet and Diana because that was her mark. So this really is a huge moment in Power Book 2 Ghost where she no longer has to worry about Tommy, and it's a game-changing moment for the rest of the series. But before we get to how she can help mentor Tariq in the game, I am glad that she set the record straight about Ghost.
Yeah, but you know he didn't do that, right, Mom?
No. Ghost was a lot of things. But he wasn't stupid.
So this circles back around to the beginning of my video with how Tariq was only looking at this from one perspective. Tasha definitely set the record straight about Ghost. He may have been a lot of things, but Ghost wasn't stupid. And I'm going to come back to Tasha helping Tariq in just a moment. But one thing I do have to agree with what Tariq said was how we can learn from Ghost's mistakes. Although we mirror our very own parents, which is something we've seen not just from Tariq, but also Diana, we can always learn from their mistakes and become better versions. The older generation would have left us with a blueprint and mentored us in different ways. They would have left us with foundations to build upon, but they would have made mistakes just like Ghost did, just like Tommy, Kanan, and Tasha did, because nobody's perfect. But what we can do is shut our mouths and keep our eyes and ears open, watch and learn from our mentors and those who grew up in the street game, including learning what contributed towards their downfall and making sure you don't make the same mistakes. That's chess, and that's looking 3 moves ahead. Although one thing Tariq can't do is, he can't do this on his own, and Tasha knows that, which comes back around to my point about Tasha having more freedom in New York. Tasha is Tariq's mother, and if she ever senses or knows that Tariq is in danger, then she's going to come and protect him, because the last thing she wants is to lose another child. And this is where we're going to rewind it back to Power once again. Tasha knew that Tariq wasn't going to stop hustling, and she reluctantly had to accept it, but on one condition: he does it right and follows exactly what she says. And the same could be said about in this situation as we bring it back to Ghost. As much as Tariq says he wants out the game, he's someone who's very ambitious. He wants to be just like his father. He wants that money, power, he wants to be untouchable like Nomar. But it's a very dangerous game that only ever ends in death or jail. Tasha knows the consequences of the game all too well and what it's done to her family, but she also knows her son better than anyone, and she knows he's never going to stop hustling on this quest for money and power. And this is why I think Tariq will need Tasha more than ever before. Tariq at this moment in time has no product, no connect, he's at war with the Tejadas, Nomar and Effie. He's also lost his trust fund, and so there's no point going back to Stansfield, especially in the midst of a war. Tommy also told Tariq he's dead in New York and this isn't his war, and that leaves Tasha, who's now free to roam the streets of New York without worrying about Tommy catching up with her, and this is who Tariq and Brayden could be on their way to see. I really wouldn't be surprised if Tasha is the one to get a hold of the situation with Tariq, mentoring him and Brayden in the game, and bringing life to what she said towards the back end of Power. If she's there besides him and does what he says, then he can be better than Ghost. Let's not forget that Tasha did get a grip of a lot of situations in Power. When Ghost was brought in for drink driving, she came in and she told him he's going to keep on sleeping with Angela until she tells him to stop. When Tommy was in turmoil, she stepped in, and she wasn't exactly the mastermind as such, but she was the glue and the rock in many situations in the background. And this next point I'm going to make is probably the most important. She was also there with Ghost every step of the way as he built his organization from the ground up.
He wasn't rich when I met him.
She once told Lakeisha that Ghost wasn't rich when she met him, and so that means she was there with him every step of the way, watching how he built his organization from the ground up, brick by brick, helping him along the way, not in terms of the street aspect, but more in the background cooking the books. She was the glue in a lot of situations, and I know she would have given Ghost the opposite advice on Roller compared to Kanan, but Tasha saw how Ghost built his empire, and that's the key thing. She was there from day one. She watched him build this huge empire and go from rags to riches as Ghost became the biggest drug dealer in New York. So can she help Tariq do the same? Most definitely. But I do think at this moment in time, Tariq does need to go back to the drawing board, regroup, and rebuild with Tasha alongside him. And he has a perfect mentor that he trusts, and there aren't many people that he can trust after the latest betrayal from Diana and Effie. But what about if Tasha catches a bullet in the process? We all know she wanted out of the game, but she's been waiting for Tariq to inherit his trust. But with Tariq chasing this money, power, and invincibility, she's going to be by his side. And at some stage, I do think this needs to happen for Tariq to really turn into a monster, and for him to lose all humanity. Something which he did show glimpses of in Season 3, but if he were to lose the one person he can fully trust, the one person he cares about, whether it be in Season 4, 5, or 6, we're going to see Tariq on Demon Time. And against Nomar and the Tejadas, there's definitely going to be bloodshed on both sides, especially when Monet finds out it was Tasha who lit her and Diana up. Although on the flip side, when Monet finds out Diana and Drew were the ones who set her up, could Monet turn over to Tariq's side once again? I definitely think it's something we need to consider. Now that's enough on Tasha's next move, but what about Ghosts? He made sure Tariq went to college where he would only inherit his trust fund if he graduated with an average GPA of 3.5. He had Daniel looking after his estate and also keeping a close eye on Tariq and his grades. But Tariq went and lost everything in the Western Holding Ponzi scheme, and it makes me think, if Ghost was a man who was able to see Tariq being charged with a homicide, having a letter ready for Tariq, could he have foreseen Tariq losing his trust fund? Like Tasha said, Ghost definitely wasn't stupid, he knew his son. And let's not forget what Tariq has gone and lost within that trust, Club Truth. Something not only Simon Stern was set to inherit when Tariq graduated from Stansfield, but this was Ghost's pride and joy, his way out of the game, and something that gave him a sense of connection to his father. So could Ghost have another move up his sleeve which may even protect his trust fund or release Club Truth? This was a man who Tasha said always wins, and I refuse to believe he doesn't have any more moves up his sleeve. He was someone who was always constantly looking over his shoulder, planning and thinking. So I'm sure Ghost definitely has more moves up his sleeve, because I think he'd be turning in his grave at the fact Tariq has gone and lost everything he worked so hard to build. And this is where I want to touch on RSJ.
I heard you have an estate. Do something smart with it. Give it to your old man.
RSJ was a man who spoke highly of James St. Patrick. He told Tariq that he has a trust fund and an estate, and to do something wise with it. He owes it to his old man. And as the season progressed, it does seem like RSJ was someone who also had two faces, and I wonder if he knew or crossed paths with Ghost in his younger days. So I do think there's more story they can explore with RSJ and Tariq, especially considering RSJ never got his money back before Tate blew up Western Holdings, so I'm sure he's going to be back. Whether he does have a connection or a deeper backstory which ties in with Ghost is yet to be seen. But one thing's for sure, they've definitely left some breadcrumbs to revisit later, but on Tariq, he better keep an eye out for Daniel or any more moves that Ghost has up his sleeve. Tasha may be back in the mix after her beef with Tommy was settled, and could she help Reek build his organization? But could she also bite a bullet and turn Tariq into a real monster? Drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.